to the Thriving Through podcast. My name is AJ Riedel. 2 times a week, I dive deep into the real stories of self-employed consultants who have turned their expertise into thriving businesses. This isn't about glossy success stories or overnight miracles. No, this is about grit, strategy, and resilience it takes to create a consulting practice that is both financially rewarding and personally fulfilling. Have you ever launched a service that you knew your clients needed, only to hear crickets? Today's guest, Talmar Anderson, learned this lesson the hard way when she tried selling hiring systems to business owners who just weren't interested in buying hiring systems. Talmar's the founder of Boss HQ and co-founder of the Time Machine Agency. She's helping small business owners, CEOs, and entrepreneurs to develop effective teams, create jobs, and transform communities. She's on a mission to inspire 100,000 entrepreneurs to create 500,000 jobs. So what happened in the next with Talmar is a masterclass of pivoting without abandoning your core expertise. So Talmar discovered that clients didn't want to buy hiring help, but they were desperate for solutions to their management pain points. By solving the problems clients knew they had first, she could then introduce them to solutions they didn't know they needed. In this episode, Talmar shares how she conducted 500 market research conversations to uncover what her ideal clients actually wanted to buy, and how that insight transformed her business. Plus, she reveals her newest venture, Time Machine Agency, that's perfect for consultants who know that they're doing work below their pay grade, but don't want the headache of hiring and managing. Let's dive in. Welcome to this week's episode of the Thriving Through podcast, the podcast for self-employed consultants by self-employed consultants. Because the best way for you to learn about the world of independent consultants is to hear from other people who have walked in your shoes before you. And today I am delighted to have Talmar Anderson as my guest. Welcome.
Thank you very much, AJ. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. Would you give us your 30-second elevator pitch?
So, I would say that I am about helping you own your own boss role so that you can thrive with team and actually enjoy your company, your business. I don't believe that any of us can do it by ourselves. And I think we have far more control over the people we let influence our success than we're willing to admit. And so I'm CEO of Boss HQ, and I'm the co-founder of the Time Machine Agency, which is another company that I have.
Okay. And in you is Boss HQ.
That's my consultancy.
Who's your ideal client, and
Oh,
what problems do you solve for them?
fantastic question. So in Boss HQ, we work with business owners that are driven to grow their business and yet feel like that people side of business is just a little more challenging than it needs to be. And the majority of our clients are saying things like, I don't know if I'm too nice, or I don't know. I try to give them more money. I don't know what to do differently. You care so much about this team, and sometimes we don't have the right hires. So it doesn't matter how much we want it for them. They're not going to be able to provide what your business needs.
Okay. How long have you been doing this?
So I started this company. I started into this niche in 2018. I was originally an operations consultant. Before that, I bossed around attorneys. I managed law firms for over 20 years. I'm not an attorney. I just tell them what to do.
Well, that's wonderful because they tell the rest of us what to do, right? So they've got to have somebody to keep them in line.
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. What I want to talk about today is something that we talked about on our when we got to know each other a couple weeks ago. And it was what you learned when you first launched your business, what you thought you were selling versus what you were actually selling. So take us through that initial struggle as you had limited success, what you
Yeah.
discovered, the pivot, and then the results.
Yes, yes, yes. And can I take it one step back further into why I went
Yes,
into this? Okay. So,
absolutely.
years 2017, I had been an operations consultant for 6 to 7 years. And I felt like the market was a little weird and business owners were kind of being saturated with business coaches, which is what everybody thinks an operations consultant is. And I kind of went back over all 7 years, and I found that whether I worked with one person for an hour or a year, they all had the same two questions. How do I find good people to hire? And what do I do if I have to fire them? And I thought, well, this is really interesting. Is this a thing? And as I went into the market, I found that at the time, there was really no one helping small business owners learn how to hire for their own companies. And I thought, how are they supposed to grow if they don't know how to get help? So I went to a mastermind up in New York with a this great thought leader. I was all excited, 75 people in the room. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna try today's the day. I'm gonna announce that I'm gonna be a hiring person. I didn't even know what that was gonna mean or look like. I just knew I wanted to train business owners on how to hire for their companies. And so sure enough, 75 people come around and it's my turn and I stand up and hi, I'm Talmar Anderson, and I help business owners learn how to hire. That's exactly what I said. And I thought, well, that was the lamest pitch I've ever heard, but it was what I wanted to say. And like I love movies. Do you like movies, AJ?
Hmm.
Right?
Love them.
So if you love movies, you know there's movies where the hero takes a giant sword and stabs it in the ground and it kind of reverberates like wah, throughout the like wherever they are, the universe, right? In this room, you could see everybody was like, hiring? Really? That's a thing I could learn. And I was like, they got it and they were curious. And I was like, well, then there's something here. And so that's really how I went into this idea that I'm going to help business owners learn how to hire for themselves. And I did have a different approach to it. Like I was really showing people that it starts way before you write your employment ad. We have a whole system for that it's called bossification, right? And so I did have a unique way to help people really customize how they were hiring. But girl, nobody wants to buy hiring. Nobody's like, you know what I want to learn today? I'm going to go spend thousands of dollars to learn how to hire for myself. Because as we found, people were like, I'll do it later. I can do that later. And they had seen everyone before them kind of struggle through hiring and wear it like a badge of honor, like, oh, yeah, well, I had somebody quit by text yesterday. And like everybody wanted to one up each other on the horrible hires they had and the horrible ways that they quit or were fired. I'm like, or we could learn to do this so we get people we like that are effective. Like, is that okay? Nope, nobody wanted to buy it. Not even a little bit. So then I did my market research. And I don't know if listeners, did you guys catch it? When I told AJ why I wanted to do this, do you remember AJ?
Mm.
Everybody said two things. They said, I can't find good people. So they didn't know how to find and hire people. But they also said, what do I do if I need to fire them? And what I found was that business owners will pay to learn how to make management pain go away. How do I fire? How do I know if it's time to fire? How do I set somebody up so I don't have to fire them? How do I help them improve? How do I communicate differently? Am I being too hard on the management side of it? The how to's, right? There's so many people out there doing leadership and CEO mindset, which is all a big part of it. And of course, we address it as well. But it really was how do you onboard people? How do you have consistent meetings and what types of meetings and what's okay to say to somebody and when can I tell them you're not doing what you said you were going to do? And so just was no how to's. So the way we had taken the process for hiring, we created a step-by-step process for managing as well. Pulled that all into bossification. And now when we meet with our clients, we're usually addressing a management issue they have. And we remind them as soon as we fix this, we're going to need to hire. It doesn't have to be scary though, because we've got the process that will get you a better person every single time, right? It's predictable, it's repeatable. So
You know
that's the journey.
what I love, I want to ask you two questions. What I love or point out what I love is that you hear in coaching and consulting, people don't hire you for the problem you think they have or you know they have. They hire for the problem they think they have. So you assure them you solve that problem, and then you can help them understand that there is a bigger problem they need to solve. And that's what you did here. Is what people wanted to a solution for was the management problems. Like,
100%.
how do I have those difficult conversations? How do I fire? When you knew that the way they hired and onboarded was causing those problems,
Exactly. Yeah. It
but
was hard.
you couldn't tell them that you had to solve that problem first. You had to solve their immediate problem. So that I love that, and I think that is really important for all of us to remember is we have to understand the problems that our ideal clients have, that they know they have and that they want to solve.
And I'll tell
Then,
you,
yeah, go
oh,
ahead.
sorry. No, please go ahead, AJ. I'm sorry. I was going to read, I was going to be like,
No, I want to hear what you were.
oh, okay. I was going to say, and the worst part is, please, listeners, know this to the heart. It's the honest truth. I continually have to remind myself, like year after year, this is started, we started way back in 2018. We got the idea in 2017, launched in 2018. And year after year, I keep getting sucked. Like all of a sudden, the world will be like, oh, we're talking about hiring right now, right? Whether it was the pandemic or all of a sudden now, Buy Back Better is a great book by Dan Martell and Michael Hyatt teaches hiring. Like there's people that are actually finally starting to pay attention and I'll get excited. I'll be like, oh, let's teach them some hiring things, but they still like they want it, but only after you solved that pain. And so I literally have a whiteboard over my computer, like on another wall, and it always says starts with management, start with management, start with, because that's really what they're like, this is where I'm suffering. I can't hear what you need to say until this thing is done. And so because of that, we've been given the trust is there. So then we get to actually show them the thing. Now, imagine that you're going to hire this way. And that's when our clients, I've literally had clients jump up and down. They're so excited. Like it's that life changing. So,
That's when the light bulb goes off. It's like,
mhm.
oh,
But it's hard because like I was like, oh, there's so many management consultants out there. I really wanted to stand out. I was excited about the fact that this was a unique thing. Nobody's out there teaching people the step by step how to hire for themselves. And it's not like go to the SBA and copy their employment ad. I'm showing you how to pull yourself and your boss idea into it so you like what you're doing and you like the people you work with and you're all going the same way, right? I was like, this is a thing. People are gonna love it. I'm like, how am I not? I mean, maybe not Richard Branson, but how am I not a thing out there that people are like, yeah, you have to learn this hiring process from Talmar and bossification. It's amazing. Like, I really was like, this is the thing. And it was just so devastating that I couldn't get people to hear it. And it makes sense because it's hard to, at the end of the day, the people side, I can't promise you 100% it'll work every time. I can promise you 100% it's going to be far more effective. And I'm teaching you the tools to get out of it faster because there are some manipulative humans out there. There are some people that really know how to interview and will be able, even though we're going to teach you how to vet this right way, like how to really ask the questions you're going to care about, that happens. And then there's the people side of it, right? Their perspectives change. So the person who cared today most about your job has a family member that gets sick and it's never going to get better. And their perspective, their priorities rather, are changed forever. Now they care about, I've got to keep this family member alive or safe or well. And then I have to stay employed so I can pay my bills. And then so that's going to shift how they show up. So the human side can change, but we can systemize the things we know we need for our company to grow.
right. I love
Sorry, I get
it.
excited.
a question. You said, so after the mastermind and you got some initial feedback,
Yeah.
then you did your research.
Hmm.
Tell me what you did. What research did you do?
So
How did you do it?
I learned a long time ago a process from, I'm not going to be able to say her last name correctly. Sunny Ledizari. We will spell it correctly in the show notes.
Okay.
And so she's a marketing person, teaches people that are going to sell courses. And she really taught us that, market research has to be at least 50 conversations.
Mm,
And so, I create a script of questions and then I find 50 people that I would love to work with, and I refuse to sell to them. I just look, I'm not trying to sell. I just want your perspectives. And we go deep on what works for them, where they look for it. There's a whole series of questions, and I redo it every time. And I try to do that at least once a year. Some years I do it twice a year because going and talking to your market is how you stay on top of the words they use. And again, that reminder, which you're so good to point out, AJ, is sell them what they want. And if I'm not talking to them and listening to them in a non-prospective scenario, then I'm always going to be like, what can I say to help them see this as a solution for them, as opposed to going and just listening and capturing that data to look at later.
love it.
But
50
50, it's
conversations.
a lot. It's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
But the
yeah.
richness, I know, I mean, I have to admit that I have not conducted 50 conversations with my ideal clients
Yet.
yet, but I have learned so much from interviewing guests for the podcast. And it
Hmm.
occurs to me now that I'm going to go back to the 28 guests that I have interviewed up until now and have those conversations with them because we
Hmm.
don't get into real specific stuff on the podcast about marketing, but I can go back and they're favorably disposed. So I'll probably get a high percent of them will say yes. So
I agree. I agree. And the thing is, one, people love to talk about themselves. Hello, podcasts. That's why we're all so popular right now, right? They love to talk about themselves. They love to give you an opinion, and especially if they can be helpful, right? Especially in the small business entrepreneurial community, they really are usually going into it, yes, for the big dream of whatever that is, but because they want to help, they want to contribute, and so where they can lend their voice, they're going to do it. Market research is just, and it's just always great conversations, but the consistency of stories can really open your eyes up to, oh, if everyone's having this pain, how can I get right in front of that so I can get to them and affect change for that, right?
yes,
That's my
love it.
ideal.
Love it. So you've heard it 50 interviews with ideal clients without an agenda.
You can't
That's
tell. And like at the very end, if you can, the rule is you're allowed to ask, would you like information when I have a solution around this particular idea? But the questions you ask, probably AJ would better be able to advise you on these things. The questions you ask are really critical. It's got to be about getting their words. And I'm not a marketing person, so that's about me.
yes. But you've done enough interviews that you know the marketing words. So when you do
For
marketing
my company,
communication,
for
yes,
my
for your
company and my
company.
products. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yes.
I want to go back when you started the company in 2018. I want to have you get in a time machine, but not your time machine,
Not my time sheet.
and
Okay.
go back to 2018 and tell us a story about a challenge or two that you struggled with in that very first year and how you overcame those challenges.
Well, I really think it is this marketing piece of it. The first year, so the very first year, I was creating the system, right? Like, how am I gonna, I got my first client, and I literally was documenting everything we were doing while we were doing it, and going, okay, what am I gonna do next? That's how we develop things, right? And so I kept adding in more details and creating more guides for people. And I think that when it comes to the resource that we developed, outside of adding the marketing from the get go, I would have liked to have. For me, it's about the business side of it, like the sales side of it. I'd never had to be in sales, and
Mhm.
so for me, systemizing that was really critical. But but I think that just understanding how difficult it was going to be to introduce a new product was just a huge, huge rock up the hill, right? I did have a new idea. There was no one. I wasn't out there competing with other people teaching a hiring process. That was like everybody's like, what? So I had to educate people that this was something they could learn, that it's even a thing. And then I had to educate them that it was worth the value of learning. And then I had to educate them that we delivered it and we're trustworthy. And then I might have the opportunity to potentially give them the solution and sell to them. And so that was a really having to pick a market that, again, hiring sounds so, it's such an integral part of business, but there was nobody out there really creating a system that could be customized and dropped into any business model anywhere. And so that was really I didn't understand how much I had to do before I could get to that actual ask.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. So and it, you underestimate the length of time, the length of the sales process, because you were
Mhm.
having to educate them first on the fact that they could do there was stuff they could do to make hiring easier. Then
Mhm.
you had to talk to them about the fact that it's urgent, don't wait, and
Yep, yep.
then convince them that you had the solution to their problem. That all takes some time. And
Yes.
it is a gradual, slow process. And I
Yes.
think that's one of the mistakes that a lot of consultants make, is thinking it's going to be quick.
Yeah, understanding the value. Like we all know we're great at what we do as a consultant or an independent contractor, right? We know what we're doing, self-employed, but how we convey that to somebody who doesn't have our expertise is different. And understanding how to talk about our value outside of what we do, how it's going to be effective is different than what we do. And, it was never more evident to me until just recently. Launching this second business, right? The Time Machine Agency is a managed virtual assistant. And we're launching that in 2025, right? Everybody knows what virtual assistance is. I don't have to teach people that, right? So
Mhm.
now I literally can go out and mention it and network, and people are making appointments with us, right? Because they see the value and they know what it is and they already have it or need to replace it or want it in their companies. So it's a very different world than when I launched Boss HQ. Hugely different because I don't have to teach. I mean, there's still our model. Of course, I have to invent every wheel. Our model's a little different, but not, there's people that do it similar to us. So it's been very fun having an easier, not invented solution that had that education point. So even more, you're hitting me at the time where I'm like, yeah, that was really hard.
You know, and it says to others that when you are thinking about what you want to do, it's a quicker route to find out what their immediate most pressing problems are.
Hmm.
People are familiar enough with VAs, but a lot of people are like me, where I don't want to manage the VAs, and I don't want to have a single VA that's everything, that will do everything for me, but probably isn't good at any particular
Hmm.
one. So
Yep.
when you talked to me about Time Machine, the light bulb went off in my head, because the idea of managed virtual assistants appeals to me, because I don't want to be the one managing. I don't want to be the one hiring. I don't
Yep.
want to be the one that has to say, you're not working out. I'm going to let you go.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
That was the thing, right? If it in Boss HQ as a consultant, right, we saw that we were educating CEOs and business owners. This is how you can step into that boss role confidently, comfortably, without being an ogre, and still say to somebody, look, you're not doing the job. And so we have all these systems we can train them, but we still, there was a market I couldn't quite get to. And it was a little before that level, right? Before they decided that they were going to scale and have big team, they would be on their own, consultants, professionals, solos. And sure, maybe they got a bookkeeper, right? Because they're like at least like, or maybe a social media person. But then they just weren't getting the help that they needed. But they don't need even part-time, right? There's a lot of businesses that don't need 20 hours a week of a marketing person. They just don't. They're not, they probably need 10 clients a year, and that's not going to need heavy marketing, but it might need heavy admin or some executive. And so I was trying to figure out how can I, to your point, create a solution that gives them the assistance they need, but just the pieces they need when they need it, so that they don't have to try to hire one person who can do everything, which is not real. None of us can do it. There's no magic assistant out there that can do all the administrative, all the executive, and all the more. It's not real. Let me just break your bubble out there, everybody. That's not a human. It's not going to work. You'll only ever focus on the part they can't do well. And that's not fair, but it's true. They'll be brilliant at three of the four things you ask them for, and you're just going to be pissed about the fourth one not getting done on time or well. And so instead, we developed a big, deep bench that you get our expertise, me and our team, right? They're all using our system on hiring and managing. So you clients get to meet with the person, but they just have somebody who's like, and what about this? And what about this? And we just ask and we gather it all. And we're like, okay, we got this. We're going to go deliver that for you now. And it's just it's ideally for people like you. Yes, AJ. Sorry, I got excited again. See, you got to cut me off, girl. I'll just keep going.
Well, what comes to mind is that it is a different ideal client than
It
your
is
boss
whole different business model.
HQ. So you have had to kind of, well, not had to, you are going back to the drawing board in terms of your marketing, your
Oh, for sure.
messaging, because it is an entirely different client.
100%. And so to your point, the branding conversation, girl, I was like, oh, what am I doing? How do I, just like on today, right? Fortunately, your show is very receptive to me talking to two different markets about two different ideas because it's
Mhm.
my journey that your market wants to hear. But there are other things that I do where I'm like, I'm going to be in the room. Is it going to be the Boss HQ audience or the Time Machine audience? And how do I talk to both? And so we worked on it, but in the end, it really is. I just want to help business owners get the team they need around them, right? And it can look, I've always said this, even when we were Boss HQ, we can build your business however you want. If you don't want to manage and hire, then let's get you somebody that will do that for you. And sometimes that looked like us helping you hire a second in command. And sometimes it looks like a virtual assistant agency, right? Like it just depends on you, your business. What do you want? What don't you want? And when we pull you into that process, we can build the right team around you. And I just know, the idea that people roll their eyes when they talk about, my team or managing breaks my heart because there'll be pain once in a while, but the majority of the time, you should be excited to delegate. You should be like, oh my God, wait till you meet AJ. She's going to rock your world. Like I get excited when I'm putting my team in front of people because I know that's good. They're going to rock their world. They're going to do great for them. Right. And that's what I want for every business. I want them to be so excited that their team is who they get to work with every day.
And now I want to, as we start to wrap up, I want you to tell us more about Time Machine because I think it is very appropriate for self-employed consultants because there are a lot of us who are saying, I know I'm doing things that are below my pay grade,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't want to face all that. And in fact, before we talk about that, as you talk about Time Machine, I realize that when I was a self-employed consultant for over 35 years.
Wow.
And I think that I didn't realize it, but I mean, I did realize I did not want to have a team. I had an assistant until I didn't need that assistant to do tabulations for me. I was in market research. And then so
Yeah.
I stopped having an assistant because I didn't want to manage people. And I
Yeah.
wonder how much of that psychologically was in my unconscious mind that I thought I sucked as a manager and I didn't want to manage people. So how I acted it out unconsciously was that I did not push to build my business in ways that would require me to hire other people. I loved being self-employed and independent with no one else. And looking
Yeah.
back, I'm sure I limited my opportunities.
Well,
because of
and
that.
first, but don't be hard on yourself, AJ. So first of all, people have had such bad experiences. There are horrible employees out there. There's horrible bosses out there, right? So whatever story you're bringing into it as your own independent person, right? If you're working for yourself, it's usually reactionary to one or the other, a bad boss or bad employees, right? That you didn't have a say in hiring, that you didn't have a say in, working for, right? You just got a boss put over you. And so the idea that entrepreneurship, that business owner concept, that I'm going to be my own consultant thing is because I want to choose who I want to work with. And yes, it has limited the potential, the impact that you could have made with your consultancy. And yet I would tell you, maybe you didn't need maybe it was exactly the way it was supposed to be. Because one of the things I believe is not everybody needs a $10 million business, right? If you're just trying to make a few 100,000 and serve 10 great clients every year, and you only need to do a little bit of networking because you want to be with your family or with the birds or whatever your thing is, right? You can do that. You don't have to do it like everybody else. So don't be hard on yourself. But if what's keeping you from moving forward and impacting more people with your genius, with your consultancy, your expertise, then yes, how can we get the minutia off your plate to create more space so you can still live the life you want and impact more people in your area of your profession. So that's the thing, is if somebody really feels like I just don't want to have the difficult conversations, I can't promise you won't, but I can promise you it doesn't have to happen very often, and there's a way for you to get comfortable to have those conversations, and that's where we specialize for Boss
Yes.
HQ.
Yes, I
Yeah,
love it.
yeah.
Okay, tell
Sorry.
us, let's finish up by telling us about Time Machine HQ, that or
Oh my
Time
gosh.
Machine Agency.
Yeah, you're so nice. I appreciate. I'm like, I love this. I get to tell you guys about all the stuff. So the Time Machine Agency is a managed virtual assistant agency, and what that looks like is our members join us for a regular monthly amount, and you get to use that amount towards any flexed projects. So there could be consistent. We do a lot of social media for people. We do a lot of scheduling and calendaring for people, right? But it could also look like next month, you're going to have your first webinar and you need all the back end marketing automation built out. Well, you're not going to need that every month. How are you going to hire somebody just to do that? So now you could use some of your membership for our marketing assistants to go in and do that work. And it lets a small business owner, an independent contractor, really just get the support you need when you need it, the way you need it. And instead of having a team of 18 people, we can have the team of 18, and you can get 5 hours from this expert and you can get 2 hours from that expert. And I say expert, we are not coaches. We are not advisors. We are not strategists. We are the doers. We are marketing assistants, executive assistants, and administrative assistants that help get those projects that you need done, whether consistently or one time, off your plate so you can be where you need to be, whether that's in sales, with your clients, with your family, on a boat, wherever that is.
So I could come to you and say that I need somebody to help me with create sales pages and the funnels,
A hundred
and I
percent.
use Kajabi.
Yep, 100%.
So then you would find me somebody that is an expert in creating sales pages and funnels in Kajabi.
Yes, and you would not actually deal with the people that do the doing. And what I mean by that is we have project managers that our clients work with. And so you're working with the same one or two people. We do believe in redundancy because humans, like vacations, or they get sick, or they take a nap. And so we will always have two people that know your account and are very knowledgeable. All of our project managers know small business. And what that means is if you try to say something like, I think we have some gaps in our sales cycle. Every project manager knows what a sales cycle is. And what happens with a lot of people that work with placement type assistants, where they give you an assistant, is they'll train them on exactly the system you're on right now, Kajabi, and you want sales pages. So we train them how to do sales pages, and they train them on just exactly what you're doing. But as your business evolves, they don't they don't have the capacity to learn in the way that you want without you stopping what you're doing to teach them, or they don't have the capacity at all and it's nothing they can learn. And so now you've got this deficit and somebody that is there, maybe helping, maybe not, but not able to expand and evolve with your business. And that's the one thing we can do. We've got Kajabi, HubSpot, whatever, Monday, it doesn't matter, all the different things. And we try to make sure that we can help you in the most budget aware way, in the best services you can, but we're going to do all the hiring and managing for you. And you're not even going to, you can know if you want to that there's 4 people working on it, but you also could just see the beautiful results in your PM and be very, very, your PM being your project manager, be very, very happy.
Right. Great. As we wrap up,
Yes.
what would you do differently if knowing what you know now? What would you do differently?
Such a great question. I don't think I would change anything. I think I had to learn by leading with hiring because it's still the unique offering that we do that just very few people even can step into, right? So I don't think I would actually change how we did it. The one thing as a business owner is I wish I'd have learned to sell so much sooner. I wish I'd have gotten much more knowledgeable, much faster, much deeper, and understood that that was something. Because if you have cash, you can always have resources. If you have cash flow consistent coming in, way less stress, bigger team, bigger learning lessons, however you like to do it. And so I did not invest in myself that way in my own education because the consultant has to sell. We have to sell ourselves. It literally it is one of the things that is there's 2 really hard hires for every company: salespeople and managers. And that's just because it's a different kind of hire. And so it stays with that consultant for a really long time. And if you don't know it, it's going to make it not nearly as much fun. You won't get to deliver and impact people like you really want.
And you can't delegate
Yeah,
that.
you're not
That
going to
is
have
one of
not
the
right away.
revenue generating activities that as a self-employed consultant, and certainly within the first couple of years, you
Mhm.
don't want to delegate that because you need to understand inside and out that whole sales process.
I
So
agree. And I
that,
tell most people not to even think about it until they're at 3 to 5 million in revenues. Because it's not cost effective. It's where the expert needs to be because their passion needs to come through. And I don't like to tell business owners to go out and learn a lot of stuff, but I got to tell you, learning the sales process and your sales for your company and your clients would be really, really helpful.
yes. And I would say, I love that advice. I would say also for the self-employed consultant, it's sales and marketing
Yes.
that
And so
you
here's
can't
my thing.
avoid.
I think that we can hire good people for marketing. You know what I'm saying? I think it's easier to get a good marketing strategist, a brand strategist, a CEO, an SEO expert. We can work with these experts in finite ways because they're usually projects. We're defining our message, and so it's not like an everyday hire like on the team. And so you need to understand how marketing works. I hope I'm not stepping on your toes, AJ, but definitely I think that people can hire great experts, not
Absolutely.
unlike yourself, and not have to
Great,
learn all of that.
great tacticians.
Yes, yes,
The part of messaging that we cannot outsource
yeah,
is the messaging piece. The, how are what can we say to our ideal client that is going to make their eyes light up and make them
yeah.
say, how did you're in my head. I've got to hire you because you can solve my problem. That is the part we can't delegate.
Girl,
And
market research, don't delegate it. That's exactly what that is.
yeah,
They'll tell you what to
absolutely.
say. They'll tell you what to say.
Yes, absolutely. I have absolutely loved our interview today. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. And for the rest of you, keep thriving through. And that's a wrap. What a fantastic conversation with Talmar Anderson. The key takeaway I want you to remember from this episode is this: people don't hire you for the problem you think they have. They hire you for the problem they think they have. Talmar's journey perfectly illustrates why you must solve your clients' immediate pain points first before you can introduce them to the deeper solutions they actually need. Talmar thought business owners would jump at the chance to learn better hiring practices. But the market taught her that clients weren't ready to invest in hiring training when they were drowning in daily management crisis. By pivoting to address management pain point first, she built the trust needed to eventually deliver her hiring expertise. So here are 3 actions you can take right now to put this episode into practice. First, conduct your own market research with your ideal clients. Talmar recommends at least 50 conversations with your ideal clients. And here's the key. Go in with no agenda to sell. Just listen. Ask about their biggest challenges, what keeps them up at night, and what solutions they've tried. You'll be amazed at what you discover when you truly listen without trying to pitch. Second, examine your current messaging. Are you leading with what you think clients need or what they say they want? Look at your website, your LinkedIn posts, your sales conversations. If you're talking about the deeper problems before addressing their surface level pain, you might be losing potential clients. And third, consider the bridge strategy. Can you package a solution that solves their immediate problem while positioning you to deliver your deeper expertise later? Talmar's management consulting became the bridge to her hiring systems. What could your bridge be? And if you're a consultant doing work below your pay grade, but dreading the thought of hiring and managing people, yes, that's me, definitely check out Talmar's Time Machine Agency. Sometimes the best solution is to let somebody else handle the hiring managing while you focus on what you do best. Remember, the goal isn't to abandon your expertise. It's to find the right entry points that clients are ready to buy. Meet them where they are, solve their immediate pain, and you'll earn the right to guide them where they need to go. If you got something out of this episode, subscribe so you don't miss future episodes, and leave a review so other self-employed consultants can find the podcast. Thanks for listening, and until next time, keep thriving through.